Let us start with the lessons chemical reactions and equation. It is the first chapter in chemistry in class 10th. So here let me introduce by using the module 1, and here we will talk about the chemical reactions and its equations. So you all know that if milk is left at room temperature during summers, you all know that it turns into something sour, खट्टा हो जाता है, फट जाता है दूध, and sometimes it turns into curd also, right? Okay, now you know that the tawa, मम्मी का लोहे का तवा होता है. So if it is left out in the humid temperature, and you can see after some times it turns into a rusty tawa, you know. So and grapes, you know, it is a nice fruit, but if it is allowed to be kept at certain times, then we get the grapes which is fermented into the wine, right? Chemical change takes place. Food is cooked, so chemical change is taking place, right? Food is getting digested inside the stomach, so that is also a chemical change. We respire, सांस लेते हैं, सांस लेते समय भी ऐसा होता है कि in goes is oxygen and something which comes out is basically the carbon dioxide. Again, a chemical reaction is taking place. Okay? So all the situations we know that the chemical reaction is taking place, and here we are to discuss the nature and identity of the initial substance that is changed into something else, है ना. कुछ जो चीज होती है जो केमिकल रिएक्शन होने के बाद एक चीज कंप्लीटली दूसरी चीज में बदल जाती है, और इसे ही हम कहते हैं that is the chemical reactions, right? So whenever a chemical reaction takes place, we can say that a new substance has formed. How do you know that a chemical reaction is taking place? So let us do some activities, a very simple activities. So what are the main activities we can do? Now see, whenever you do this in lab, now ask your teacher to be with you or the lab assistants to be with you. So what is that activity? Let's see. You take a magnesium ribbon. Magnesium is a metal, and you take about 2 centimeters of this and rub it with sandpaper. Magnesium के ऊपर ना you get a coating of magnesium hydroxide and some carbonates and other things, because magnesium is a self-protecting metal. So you need to remove all the deposits out there, otherwise it will not burn. You take that 2 centimeters long and then hold it with a pair of tongs. Tongs क्या होता है? आपकी मम्मी का जो संसी होता है ना, बिल्कुल वैसा ही कुछ होता है, ताकि आप उसको हाथ में चलाओगे ना, मैग्नीशियम को जलेगा, तो इसको संभालना है आपको, तो आपको टोंग्स की मदद से इसको पकड़ना है. बर्न इट बाय यूजिंग अ स्पिरिट लैम्प. स्पिरिट लैम्प मतलब क्या? एक लैम्प होता है लेबोरेटरी में, हाँ? तो वो लैब में वो उसको यूज करते हुए आपको इस मैग्नीशियम के रिबन, जो आपको इसमें कैंची जैसा दिख रहा है ना, हाँ, संसी जैसा, बिल्कुल वैसा ही टोंग्स होता है, उसमें मैग्नीशियम के रिबन को पकड़िए और स्पिरिट लैम्प में इसको जलाइए, या फिर बंसन बर्नर से, किसी किसी स्कूल में स्पिरिट लैम्प नहीं होता, वो बंसन बर्नर्स होता है, ये कुछ ऐसा ब्लू लैम्प में जलेगा. ठीक है. जब आपने मैग्नीशियम के रिबन को इसको ला करके इसके पास लगाया, तो आपका मैग्नीशियम का रिबन जो है वो जलने लगेगा. ठीक है. अब देखो ये जल रहा है, और इस जलते हुए रिबन को आपको लेके आना है एक ग्लास के एक छोटे से वॉच ग्लास कहते हैं इसको, एक ग्लास की एक कटोरी जैसे होती है ना. सो इस वॉच ग्लास में आपको जो मैग्नीशियम जलने के बाद जो कुछ भी पाउडर व्हाइट कलर का जो बच रहा है, इसको सारे को आपको कलेक्ट करना है. आप जब देखोगे ये मैग्नीशियम का जो व्हाइट का जो पाउडर है, वो मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड का होता है. यानी आपने लिया क्या था भाई? आपने लिया था सिंपल मैग्नीशियम, और वो जल करके किस रूप में बदल गया? वो बदल गया मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड में, व्हाइट कलर का पाउडर में. डार्जलिंग लाइट के साथ जला था, एकदम चमकीला लाइट के साथ वो चलता है. यानी केमिकल रिएक्शन जब हुआ तो नई चीज बनी, और साथ में खूब सारा हीट भी इवॉल्व हुआ. ठीक है. चलो, तो हमने क्या कंक्लूड किया कि मैग्नीशियम रिबन जब जलता है तो इट बर्न्स विद अ वाइट dazzling flame, and it also changes into a white powder. It was a ribbon which converted into the powder. This is what has happened in this activity what we saw just now. So this powder kya tha wo? This powder was magnesium oxide, right? A new substance is formed. Magnesium is burning in air to give you magnesium oxide. So it is formed because of the reaction between the magnesium and the oxygen, right? Okay, now let us do another activity to show the chemical reactions, right? So this activity, you take a test tube, you take potassium iodide solution. That means you take a salt of potassium iodide and mix it in the water. And then you take lead nitrate solution already in the test tube. So there are two solutions available for you. One is the lead nitrate solution and the other is the potassium iodide solution. So you can see that clear solution of lead nitrate solution in the test tube and potassium iodide solution in the beaker. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a dropper and using that dropper you are going to take some potassium iodide solution in it and then drop by drop you are going to add it to the lead nitrate solution which is kept in the test tube, right? So what happens here is you can see the yellow colored precipitate is formed. You take a clear solution, but when you add this potassium iodide to it drop by drop, you can see yellow colored, golden yellow colored precipitate of lead iodide inside this test tube. Precipitate is formed, the color is changed, right? This is what has happened now. If you take this another activity in which you take a conical flask. So, in this conical flask, if you take some zinc granules and then you have got very dilute solution of sulfuric acid and then by means of a dropper you take this sulfuric acid and then put it inside this beaker drop by drop. What you see? You have added drop by drop this dilute sulfuric acid to the zinc granules. The chemical reaction has taken place between this dilute sulfuric acid and the zinc granules and you have fixed a cork so that all the gases don't go out and then you have fixed it also with a, see this is a glass tube with it has, you have fixed it out. You can see some gas is coming out of this and this gas is basically the hydrogen gas which is coming out. What conclusions you can draw from this? You can see that bubbles of hydrogen gas which is coming out. That means you know that some reaction has taken place between the zinc granules and the dilute sulfuric acid. Now, if you touch this conical flask, so it has become hot. So another important things what you can see here is when a chemical reaction is taking place, some heat is also evolved. That means there is a change in the temperature. Then you have mixed a solid and a liquid and a gas is coming out. So what is that we can say? That there is some change in state also which is happening. So what you can conclude? In the very first experiment we saw that magnesium ribbon burns. Magnesium ribbon burns and a ribbon turns out into a powder with a dazzling light. So we saw in the very first experiment that the heat was evolved and a new substance was formed. In the second experiment we could see that when lead nitrate solution we added few drops of potassium iodide, we saw that a yellow golden colored precipitate was formed. So in the reaction we can say that okay, yes, there is some precipitate also formed when a chemical reaction takes place, right? And the third one we got that some gas was evolved, right? So whenever a chemical reaction takes place, some changes occur. So what are the changes which occur when a chemical reaction takes place? There is a change in the state. There is a change in the color. There is evolution of gas. There is a change in the temperature and there is a formation of precipitate. Whenever a chemical reaction takes place, one or two changes may occur or all the changes may also occur. The change has to be there. So whenever a chemical change occurs, please repeat with me. There is a change in state, there is a change in color, there is evolution of gas, there is a change in the temperature, and there is a formation of the precipitate. Right? Okay.